Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that you could join me again. A few friends are coming by tomorrow evening, so I thought it would be fun to serve drinks and nibbles. And for the nibbles, we're going to do little sliders, and I'm going to use homemade hamburger buns, but miniature size, and I will fill the buns with some shredded beef. And we will also do a bean dip with fresh rosemary and sage. And we will do a third nibble, but I'm not sure what it will be just yet. Maybe cucumber cups filled with creme fraiche and sun-dried tomatoes. We will see. Anyway, I want to get cracking on the miniature hamburger buns. So what I have here is a half cup of water. And to that, I'm going to add a half cup of milk. And then I need to warm this to about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to do that right in my microwave. I also need to melt 3 tablespoons of butter in the microwave. We are all warmed up here. So that's 120 mils of water and 120 mils of milk. I'm going to put this right into my mixing bowl. And then I want to add 2 1/4 teaspoons or 7 grams of active dry yeast. Give that a whisk. I know that my yeast is viable, so I do not need to proof it first. Now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of regular granulated sugar. Whisk that in. 1 large egg. The 3 tablespoons of butter that we melted. And 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. Now I'm going to add 3 1/2 cups or around 480 grams of regular all-purpose flour. I wanted to mention that the milk in this recipe gives these hamburger buns a certain softness. In you go. I'm just going to stir this until all of the flour is moistened. Scrape off my spurtle. And then I'm going to use the dough hook on my stand mixer to knead this dough for about 8 minutes. So I'm looking for a smooth, elastic dough. You could knead this entirely by hand if you wish. And while this is kneading, I'm going to clean up my workstation. This dough has been kneaded for about 8 minutes, so now let's feel it. Oh, it feels great. Very elastic. So now we can pull this off of the dough hook. I want to transfer the dough to my board here. Now this is my own hamburger bun recipe, and the only change I made was to add a half cup of milk as opposed to all water, which again is to give the dough a certain softness. And we can form this dough into a ball. And to do that, I just pull the ends under. And then I need a clean bowl, which I can grease with vegetable spray. flip to grease the other side. And then we can cover this bowl with a damp towel. You could use cling film here. And then I'm going to put this in a warm spot until the dough has doubled in volume. That's going to take from 90 minutes to 2 hours. And while the dough is rising, we can get started on the beef. Here's the beef, and here is the Instant Pot in which we will cook the beef. And I'm going to start by heating up my Instant Pot, so I need sauté. I'm going to get this good and hot, and I need to add a little glug of avocado oil, maybe 2 tablespoons or so. Now this is a 3-pound chuck roast. I like chuck roast because it's super tender and it cooks beautifully and it shreds beautifully once it's cooked. In other words, it becomes meltingly tender. I do want to pat this dry. Wet beef doesn't brown very well. And I'm going to cut this beef into, large chunks. I'm going to remove just a little bit of this fat. And then we can brown the meat. I'm going to brown it on all sides. This will take probably 10 minutes or so. I need to brown this beef in 2 batches. So all of the meat is nicely browned, and I can return this first batch. Now, I've just turned the pressure cooker off. I'm going to add 1½ cups of water. Cover. And I'm going to move the Instant Pot over to this counter because I'm going to need space for the rolls that we're making. Pressure cook. And it's 20 minutes per pound for a chuck roast. So this is a 3-pound chuck roast. I need 1 hour. Now, one very pleasant aspect of this Drinks and Nibbles get-together is that everything can be made ahead of time. For instance, I'm making the shredded beef and the little hamburger bun sliders 1 day ahead of time. We clean this up, and then we can check on the progress of that dough. I've just washed my cutting board, and I forgot to tell you that I did not season the beef because I'm going to season it after it's been cooked. It's probably going to make more shredded beef than I need for the Drinks and Nibbles party. So I will season some of it. Maybe I'll do a barbecue sauce for the little sliders, and then I might use the rest of it with taco seasoning for tacos. All right, our dough has certainly doubled in volume. Now, I do want to weigh this out because I'm going to divide the dough into 15 pieces. Zero this out. It's a beautiful dough. 847. So 847 divided by 15 is about 56 grams. Now I need my marble board again. Going to pat this out, remove all of the air bubbles. Okay, this is 66 grams, so I'm going to have to go a little less than this. Once you've done a couple of these rolls, you will pretty much have an idea for how much each one weighs. So I don't want to use my knife. I want to use my bench scraper. And there we have it. 15 rolls that are pretty much of uniform size. Now to form these little buns, what I do is flatten out each segment, and then I fold the ends under to create surface tension on top. And then I cup the top of the dough ball in the palm of my hand and roll. And I have a perfect little globe. Now I need my baking dish, which I will lightly grease. Now we made rolls in the previous episode. They were my fluffy dinner rolls. Boy, were they delicious. I only have a few of them left. These rolls are a little richer than the fluffy dinner rolls. I also think they will hold up better to a moist filling, such as shredded beef. Spoiler alert, the barbecued beef sliders were a huge hit. I'm so glad that I took the time to make the buns, the shredded beef, and the barbecue sauce entirely from scratch. So here are our 15 little rolls, which will become miniature hamburger buns. We're going to cover them as before and let them double in volume. And then we will give them an egg wash and top them, I think, with sesame seeds. And these will need from 30 to 45 minutes to rise. While the rolls are rising, let's check on the beef. I gave it a 15-minute natural pressure release, and then I manually release the remaining pressure. Need a fork. And I just want to check that this will shred easily. It's definitely tender. Oh yes. This is shredding beautifully. Now, when this beef is cool enough to handle, I will shred all of it, and then we will make a sauce. But probably we will do that tomorrow. And here are the little hamburger buns. They're starting to fill out the pan. So now I want to give these an egg wash. And I have some toasted sesame seeds that we can sprinkle on top. Now, the egg will help these rolls to brown beautifully in the oven. And speaking of which, my oven has preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. And I think I will shred all of that beef today, because why put off until tomorrow what you can accomplish today? This way, tomorrow, which is the day of our little informal party, I will have very little to do. Okay, now we need some sesame seeds. And I like to sprinkle them from on high. And into the oven they go, about 17 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and shred all of this beef. I have some nice beef stock in here now too, although I did not season the beef, so it's going to taste rather bland until I add salt and pepper and whatever else I want. I like these mixing forks for shredding beef and chicken, although you could certainly use your impeccably clean fingers to shred the beef. Now, once all of this meat is shredded, I will cut cover it and refrigerate it. And then, I guess tomorrow we will make a sauce for it. For some of it anyway. I'm not going to need all of this beef for the sliders. I might even freeze some of this beef. Now I can pour this beef stock or broth into my fat separator here. I'm not letting any of this go to waste. I have a dog over here sitting and just waiting for a little piece of shredded beef. You're a very good girl. Here you go. Good. Enjoy. So I have almost 700 mils of beautiful broth that we can save. The nice thing about the fat separator is that the fat rises to the top, but this spout is on the very bottom. So we get only the good broth and not the fat. We'll let this come to room temperature and then pop it into the refrigerator. And here are the miniature hamburger buns. I think they turned out just great. Going to let them cool for 5 minutes and then we can unmold them. Here they are. And of course, I have to try one of these for you. So these are pull apart. And they are very, very hot still. These will be just perfect for our sliders. When these buns achieve room temperature, I will wrap them and let them sit at room temperature overnight. And then tomorrow, we will make the sauce for the shredded beef. We will make the bean dip with sage and rosemary. And we will make our third mystery appetizer. So, pleasant dreams, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. I hope you slept well. So we have our little drinks and nibbles get together later today. And I want to make the barbecue sauce for the shredded beef that we created yesterday. And the first thing I need is a medium onion, which I'm going to dice. And we can throw this onion right into a medium-sized saucepan. Now this is my own recipe for barbecue sauce, and I see one tiny piece of onion skin or onion paper in here that I want to remove. Yes, so this is my own recipe for barbecue sauce, and I will post the recipe in the description box below. 2 cups of ketchup, preferably homemade, but store-bought will do. That's 475 mils of ketchup. Then I'm adding a half cup or 120 mils of Cabernet Sauvignon wine, a quarter cup or 60 mils of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, and 1 tablespoon of tamari sauce. We also need 4 cloves of garlic, minced. However, I have the wonderful garlic pucks that you and I made together from homegrown garlic. So I'm going to use a couple of those. And then we need to cook this mixture. Now, so we do not have to move the camera, I'm going to cook my barbecue sauce right on this little electric burner. We need to bring the sauce to a boil over high heat, and then we will lower the heat, partially cover the pot, and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Our sauce is done. It smells fantastic. Now I'm going to let this cool for about 10 minutes, and then we can blitz it in a blender. So our sauce has cooled enough that we can ladle it into the blender. Again, the smell's just incredible. Now, I mentioned that I have, a recipe for this barbecue sauce over on my website. I also have a recipe for homemade ketchup. And homemade ketchup, if you've never had it, is unbelievably delicious. And it's really easy to make. I'm just going to blend this until it's perfectly smooth. Going to wash out my pot. Now here is the shredded beef that you and I prepared yesterday. I'm so glad we did that a day ahead of time. And I'm not going to turn all of this into barbecued meat because I only have 3 guests coming, and I'm not sure how many of the miniature hamburgers we're going to have. Probably, well, I will say 2 per person. So I'm going to put some of this meat in the pot. And then I have a little reminder here to add salt and pepper because I did not salt and pepper the meat yesterday. Add that right now. Pepper. Then we can add some of this glorious homemade barbecue sauce. Give it a stir. This looks wonderful. I think this is the perfect proportion of meat to barbecue sauce. And I can pour the remaining barbecue sauce into a freezer container. Pop the lid on. And I can refrigerate or freeze this. You can put the lid on our beef and barbecue sauce. This will go into the refrigerator until we're ready to use it later today. I'm going to put everything away, and then for the next recipe, which is bean dip with fresh rosemary and sage, we need to make a short trip to the local farm store. I need to pick up the rosemary and the sage and a few other things. So come take a short drive with me.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
We are home again, and as soon as Lizette and I returned home, we decided we were very hungry and we should try out some of the shredded beef mini, what do we call them, sliders. So I mixed some of the beef with some of the barbecue sauce, and we put pickles on the sliders, and let me tell you, we both said, wow, wow, and wow. That beef and barbecue sauce is just fantastic. So now we can start our next recipe, which is the bean dip with fresh rosemary and sage. So I have my rosemary and sage that you and I bought together at the farm store. And I need to cut enough rosemary needles to equal about 2 teaspoons. Then I need the equivalent of 7 medium-sized sage leaves. These sage leaves are quite small because they are grown at the berry farm. And right now it is winter, so there's not a lot of daylight. So the sage plants that the farm has in greenhouses are not growing as robustly as they would when daylight is longer. And I'm going to save a sage leaf or 2 for garnish. We'll also save a little sprig of rosemary. There we are. One of the ingredients in this dip is a clove or 2 of fresh minced garlic. And here again, I'm going to use one of the little garlic pucks from homegrown garlic. And I just need to thaw this in the microwave. We will also need some lemon juice, about the juice from half a lemon. And to make the dip, we need the beans from a 15.5 ounce can of cannellini beans. And that's 439 grams. I did drain and rinse the beans. We need our garlic. Then we need the juice from half of the lemon. Roughly 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan. This recipe is on my website, so I will link the recipe in the description. Grinds of black pepper. Then we need our chopped rosemary and sage. And I'm going to turn the machine on while I add just enough olive oil to create a nice thick dip. Check the texture here. Looks good. Let's have a tiny taste. It's lemony and garlicky, but I do want to chop the herbs a little more. Then we can transfer the dip to a little bowl. We can garnish this dip with a leaf of sage and a sprig of rosemary. Need to tidy up here a little. Then we're going to chop some of these peppers over here. They will be the crudité to accompany the dip. I want to cut these peppers into scoopable wedges, or rather I should say wedges that are capable of scooping. Now, earlier I mentioned that there would be a third appetizer, and since I didn't know what it was, I called it a mystery appetizer. Well, that mystery has been solved. I'm going to make cucumber cups that are filled with a cream cheese and sour cream and dillweed mixture, and then topped with crumbled bacon. So we're going to do that next. I like my cucumber cups to drain before I fill them, so I've lined a baking tray with a kitchen towel. I'm going to cut this cucumber into pieces that are about this long. What is that, 1.5 inches maybe? Then I need my melon baller, if I can find it. Success. So I turn each sliced bit of cucumber upside down on the kitchen towel. And I'm using the melon baller to just create an opening in each cucumber slice. I decided that I should save all of the little bits of cucumber that I'm removing from each slice, and then I can use these in a salad, or maybe add them to a salad dressing. And we can let these drain while we move on to the filling. Now, I will link the recipe I'm following in the description below, but the recipe called for, I think, 5 or 6 English cucumbers. I'm using but 1, so I'm only making a small amount of the recipe. So I have half of an 8-ounce brick of cream cheese that I put in this bowl. Then I'm going to add about 1 cup or 8 ounces of sour cream. And I'm probably still making too much filling, but that's okay. I can save whatever is left and just buy another English cucumber. I need a tablespoon or so of dillweed. Then I need a teaspoon of celery salt. Then I need about half a tablespoon of either minced dried onion or chopped dried shallot. And I'm using shallot here. Then we can just mix this up. Of course, my cream cheese isn't quite soft enough. So I'm going to throw this into the microwave for about 15 seconds. I think a whisk works better than a spoon for this mixture. Yes. Of course, I want to have a little taste of this. Oh, this is fabulous. I'm going to arrange these cucumber cups on this little platter here. And I like to use 2 spoons to fill the cups. Then we need a garnish for our cucumber cups. And the recipe calls for crisp crumbled bacon. Fortunately, I have 4 pounds of already cooked bacon from the massive food prep project that you and I did together a couple of episodes ago. Let me fetch the bacon. And all I need to do is crisp it in the microwave. So I'm putting the bacon on couple of paper towels, and these can go right into the microwave. Now, I wanted to mention that if you want to make cucumber cups, you can fill them with just about anything. I sometimes fill the little cups with egg salad or tuna salad or chicken salad, or as I mentioned earlier in this video, with creme fraiche and chopped sun-dried tomatoes. But I think this filling is excellent. Now all I have to do is warm up our filling for the sliders and slice our little hamburger buns in half, and we'll be ready to go. But first, I want to light a fire in the parlor. The fire is lit. So now I want to slice up some of these wonderful hamburger buns. I'm thinking maybe 2 hamburgers per person, and it's 3 of us, so 6. Pull these off. I can cut these buns right through the middle. And there we are. I think I will serve these on a platter. In fact, I know that I will serve these on a platter. And my filling should be nice and hot now. Actually, I need to change my clothes. I need to take off the apron, put on a halfway decent shirt before guests arrive. Then we will fill the little sliders. I have a self-serve bar in the parlor. Well, you've seen that bar because we set it up together in a previous episode. So guests can have really whatever they want. I want to put 2 little pickle slices on each slider. So we have our cucumber cups topped with crumbled bacon. We have our bean dip with fresh rosemary and sage, plus cut up peppers for crudité. And we have our magnificent little sliders. I'm going to bring everything into the parlor, and then my guests should be here in about 2 minutes. Well, I hope you feel inspired to host your own little drinks and nibbles party. It's fun to have casual get-togethers with friends, and the cocktail appetizers are actually quite easy to make. And again, I will post all of the recipes for these appetizers in the description box below. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. My friends are due here any moment, so I will say bye-bye for now. Cheers, friends.